I'm AJ Bianco, host of Reflect Ed, a part of the Education Podcast Network. Just like the show you're listening to now, shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hi, this is Natalie Crayon-Vanger.
Hi, this is Angela Watson.
Hey, this is Matt Blackman.
Hi, this is Casey Cohen.
Hi, this is Danny Kennis.
My name is Derek Larson.
My name is Karina Gonzalez.
Hey everyone, this is the EdTech Maestro.
Hi, this is Jennifer Williams.
I'm Jenna Klein.
Hi, this is Jennifer Cron.
Hi, this is Jill Dobronsky.
Hi everybody, this is Jessica Johnson.
I'm Josh Gauthier.
This is Casey Bell.
Hi, this is Katrina Keene.
Hi, this is Laura Fleming.
This is Lavana Roth.
Hi, this is Matt Miller.
Hi, my name is Miguel Kudri.
I am Patricia Brown.
Hello there, this is Rich Kikert.
Hi, my name is Alex Rosenwald.
Hi, this is Sharon Plant.
This is Teresa Steger.
This is Stephanie Ryan.
This is Tim Charleston.
Hey, this is Tom Murray.
Hey now, this is Justice Schleider.
Hello, this is Lynn Smargis.
Hi, my name is Stacy Lindis.
Hi, this is Adam Clark.
Hi, this is Brent Catlett.
This is Bruce Reicher.
Hi, this is Dennis Sheeran.
Hi, this is Katie Gardner.
I'm Carrie Gallagher.
Hi, this is Krista Mintz.
Hi, this is Krista Penrod.
I'm Michelle Shelton.
Hi, this is Mike Murata.
Hi, I'm Nate Nagle.
Hi, I'm Teresa Shadrix.
Lego Batman here.
This is Jojo.
This is John Nessie.
This is Lindsay Stumpenhorst.
Hey, this is Richard Byrne.
I'm Miles, and you're listening to the House of EdTech with my daddy, Chris Nessie.
Hi, this is Caitlin Nessie, and this is the 2020 Smackdown. Strike up the band.
Welcome to the House of EdTech podcast. I am your host, Chris Nessie. The House of EdTech explores how technology is changing the way teachers teach and the impact that technology is having in education. I discuss technology that is changing our classrooms and schools, and I share tools and tips that you can hear today and use tomorrow. You're going to hear the stories of teachers, leaders, and creators just like you. The purpose? Whether you use it or not, technology is changing the way you teach and how your students learn. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is the end of 2020. Welcome to the 2020 Smackdown. I'm back. Yes, we've reached the end of 2020. It's the end of the year. It's time for the Smackdown. But as promised, I am not alone. What is up? Substitute host of the podcast, Derek Larson. What's going on, my man?
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for having me back, Chris. I guess I didn't burn the house down, so you brought me back for the Smackdown.
Look at you. You're a poet, and you didn't even know it.
Well, I am a librarian. I'm around books all day long for the job. So what can I say? Sometimes it just osmosis happens.
That's true. And just let me say, Derek, from the last episode, you had Katie McNamara on. I can't believe you went and actually talked about the fact that libraries aren't burning down left and right in California. You had me chuckling like he really went there. He went there.
Dude, honestly, I'm not going to lie, man. California's burning, and I was scared to death. I'm like, that would be bad news. Part of it is I did just recently read The Library Book, is what it's called, and it's about the story of the Los Angeles Library and when it burned down. I had all those emotions kind of run wild, and so, yes, I had to make sure that we were not burned.
Save the books.
Yes, save the dead tree books.
Save the dead paper. There you go. So, I mean, before we get into the Smackdown, and we've got a lot of content, and I'm going to try something that I've never done before, and people are either going to go, wow, Chris, that's awesome, or the reaction is going to be, oh, really? He went there? But we will get to that, and people will soon listen to what I mean. But before we do that, Derek, first, I need to thank you for the amazing job that you did in my absence. There were some episodes you did where when you introduced the show, you made it sound like I was dead. But, I'm still here. I'm alive. And, I interjected a little bit here and there. But sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, you have been a fantastic friend. And I made it known to everybody who listens that you came out of nowhere to say, I'd like to do this. I didn't approach you. I didn't approach anybody. And, you heard my announcement in August and you answered the call that I didn't even know I was putting out there. Thank you. Thank you, Derek.
Oh, you're welcome. Honestly, I didn't even get through the whole episode before I was like, oh, what in the heck is going on? This is not happening. The House of EdTech it can't just vanish because there's too much going on there. Too many teachers rely on it. So I just was hoping that I didn't, like I said, burn the house down, hoping that I could keep things going at least as a holdover until you get back and kind of fix the mistakes and make things accurate.
You're right. You didn't burn the house down, but I think in this run of episodes, you brought the house down. Kudos to you. And that kind of brings me to the EdTech thought, which I wanted to kind of get inside your head, Derek. So allow me to get inside your head. So my question for the EdTech thought is, Derek, what did you learn in this experience hosting a podcast? And I'm going to give you some time to put your thoughts together because I haven't really been on the microphone in quite some time. So I got a couple things to add to the question for you to think about. Because as people know, one of the longest running, I won't say jokes or bits, but topics of my podcast has been, when is Derek Larson going to start his own podcast? I've hinted at it. I've pushed at it. Now you've gotten the opportunity to host a podcast on a regular basis, doing it fortnightly, as some people say. I'll just go with every 2 weeks. You prepared show notes. You got guests. You had the great interview with Jared Covilli, and you had Kate McNamara on. And you put your own thoughts out there. What did you learn from this experience?
It was a very different experience than I kind of wondered. I've been a podcast lover and listener. I subscribe. I'm not quite Stacy Lindis numbers, but I'm pretty high. If I were to drop the number, I would be mocked right now. So I'm not going to drop it. I'm just saying I'm on Stacy's side. Power to her. Don't quit. Let her lie. But with me, I listen to a lot of different podcasts. I have for, many, many years. I could be pushing 10 years at this point, honest and truly. I don't even know. I have toyed with the idea of a podcast for a while, as you're well aware. I've had many discussions about that, but it just never felt right. And I'll be perfectly honest, I don't know if it feels totally right even still right now. So that's why I thought, well, let me just jump in, and that would give me a defined amount of time, okay, from point A to point B, then I can see where my life is at. Because I'm actually, as I mentioned with Katie McNamara, I'm still finishing up my library certification for the state of Utah. A little inside baseball, I've been in some really tenuous situations the last 3 years or so of my professional career. And this year I've changed schools again, and I'm with an administration that just, honestly, I couldn't ask for a better vice principal. So supportive of myself and the rest of the faculty here. But we're also in the middle of this crazy pandemic junk, and that's taken a toll on everybody. And so one of the things I learned about being in the power seat, as you call it, with podcasting, is I really, really enjoy interviewing people. I am not a fan of the self-monologue, the monologue piece when it's just me chilling. It didn't work. It's not my favorite thing. I mean, I could do short little spurts here and there. But to me personally, I felt like the episodes that were the best, came out the best, were in fact the ones where I had a guest on. And that's challenging. I mean, scheduling a guest, getting them on there, finding time's going to work. I hate time zones. And one of my recommendations I'm going to drop for the episode is going to help you with time zones, because time zones are not my favorite thing. So having a guest is challenging because of time zones, but my golly, it made the episode so much better when I had someone else to pull from and talk to. I really enjoyed it. Am I ready to pull the trigger and hit the record on my own specific show? I don't know just yet. I've got to see what January brings, in all honesty, because there's still some things in the background going on. I am much closer than I've ever been, and I'm excited to have that opportunity. But man, podcasting's been a blast. It has been fun. I suck at a schedule. Mr. Nessie is so kind here, but yes, I'm not the greatest with some of that kind of stuff. So there's going to be some more behind the scenes that's going to have to happen for me to really kind of rock and roll. But I will say that there will be a show happening. I don't know exactly when. I own domains for 4 different shows. Let's put it that way, folks. There's too many ideas. So which one's going to hit first? I don't know. But I know the one that I want to hit first, and I'm not gonna put a definitive time on it, but I am gonna say I think 2021 could be the year that I actually launch. And I'm not talking like December 2021. We're talking hopefully much sooner than that. But January will not be the month. I'll put it that way.
I'm disappointed, Derek.
I know you are.
Lie. you know I'm a pusher, but I truly understand. Based on my own recent experiences, we have our life to live, and we all have things, good, bad, or indifferent, that can be happening at any one time. And certainly, this is as I've been saying for months, an interesting time in education, and that's just one piece of who you are, one piece of who I am. But I'm glad you had a good experience. Hopefully you'll be able to reflect on this experience and realize and know in your heart of hearts, when you decide to pull the trigger on this, you'll be able to do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts on, well, am I capable? Can I do it? You've done it on, in my opinion, one of the biggest stages out there.
It's not a small stage by any means. It's a pretty good size. I mean, honestly, that was one of the big holdups for me. Can I actually do it? Can I have enough to say? I mean, I know I talk a lot, but sometimes it's like, can I focus it to actually make sense? And yeah, this proved that it can be done, and I'm excited to do it. But yeah, there's just a few things that have got to hit. I know a lot of people who have been in podcasting that have also taken hiatuses right now and there, here and there. So, but I will leave this offer on the table. The next time, if you need a substitute, don't just play older stuff. Don't hesitate to call. You know, you've got a sub out there. So let me know.
Yeah. One thing I debated once you made your offer, and I started to tell people about, I'm going to have Derek Larson, former guest of the show. Then people started to say, you could get like other people to do this too. And I was like, you know what? I could, if I needed to, I could have a whole pool of people. But first and foremost, you're going to be the person I call because you've walked the walk. And hey, podcaster, you talk the talk. You are at the top of a very short list of people who I would entrust this program to.
Well, I appreciate that. Like I said, that's a lot of validation right there. If the man behind the chair is cool with what's happening, is not totally like, all right, shoot the man, he's gone, I'm good.
And just so you know, Derek had complete control over the show. Other than the fact that I put the parts and pieces together that he created, he had creative control. He got the guests that he wanted to get. And those were two fantastic conversations, again, with Jared Covilli and Kate McNamara, two great people in education. If you haven't heard those episodes, go back and listen to them. And, here we are. We're going to do what we do, and, we're going to keep going and going. Derek, funny thing, as we finish up the EdTech thought, I was looking at the schedule for next year in 2021. And I around this time, I plot out all the release dates for the coming year, because I need to look based on, how I host the podcast with Libsyn and everything. Those months that have 5 weeks can be tricky sometimes. So I have to properly space the episodes out. And I went actually into 2022, and I looked ahead to find out when episode 200 will be coming out. And that's going to be in March of 2022. This is exciting. And that's something I want to plan and think about, but right here, in December of 2020, that's a long way away, but certainly in my sights. And it feels like just yesterday that I did episode 100, with my dad. So future plans, future talk. Derek, you learned a lot doing the show. And again, I can't thank you enough. So one more time, thank you. For you who's listening, if you're able to clap your hands and applaud for Derek, please do that now. Thank you, Derek.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Merry Christmas.
All right, Derek, you and I just had a nice conversation about what you learned as a podcaster, but 2020 has been, for the umpteenth time, an interesting year in education. You learned a lot in education. I learned a lot in education. And so did so many listeners of the podcast who have submitted some great tips, recommendations, apps, suggestions. The thing that I'm going to do differently Derek, you know this, and many people who listen to the show know that earlier here in 2020, I did an episode that was dedicated to TikTok for educators. I am head over heels in the TikTok world. I had, 3 people on that episode of the show. I had a student who is now in college who, is doing amazing things with TikTok and history content. And I had 2 teachers on who are creating great content on, Twitter, on TikTok. Part of what I'm including among the people who submitted things directly for this episode, I went out and I've been learning on TikTok. I've been learning tech tips and basically all these little tricks and cool things and websites. And I've curated my favorites to date. So in addition to people who submitted things for the Smackdown, I'm also going to be sharing 10 tech from TikTok tips interspersed throughout this episode. Ready to get our TikTok on, Derek?
I was really nervous for you, Chris, because
Why?
I know you're a TikTok fanatic, and I thought there was that chance it was going to disappear. And I was like, oh, snap, Chris is going to lose his junk. He's going to lose it because he loves his TikTok. When all that crazy political junk was happening, I thought, ooh, what's going to happen to Chris? He's not going to be a happy camper. So for you, I'm very grateful that you still have your TikTok addiction happening. So, and yes, there's some cool ideas in there. I'm excited to have some expounding going on there because there were some awesome things. So yeah, let's rock and roll.
All right. So we're going to get right into this. And because we've got Derek, I tallied it up. I did math as a social studies teacher.
Whoa.
Able to,
did you hurt yourself?
Almost. But again, remember, I was almost a math teacher. Numbers just got too hard. But
yeah, it's okay.
I'm good to a point.
That's why I taught elementary school math, man. Elementary math is way easier than middle school and high school math.
Well, I wanted to be a high school math teacher, so I disappointed my father. Hi, Pops. Again, if you're new to listening, my dad's a high school math teacher, and he was on episode 100 and also 108. We didn't talk math, but go check those episodes out. But anyway, again, see, I haven't podcasted really like this, and to have you here, I got a lot to say. So anyway, we got 26 things that we're about to share with you. Some from you, 10 things I found on TikTok, and we got submissions from listeners like you. We're going to start off, we're going to go down under, and we're going to go to one of my favorite Australian listeners, Miss Emma Crofts. Take it away, Emma.
Hi, Chris. This is Emma Crofts from rural Western Australia. My recommendation for this year's House of EdTech Smackdown is a website-based tool, app.classroomscreen.com. I've used it a lot this year. We have been face-to-face teaching here in WA most of the year, but you could also use this if you were delivering content virtually. I really like the random name generator. My students enjoy that as well. The dice also really handy for when we're doing group work is the sound level and work symbols and the timer and stopwatch. There's also the ability to insert media, and you can embed QR codes as well. It's free. I've only used the free version. I know you do like that F word, so do I. So give it a go. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Thank you, Emma. And again, Emma shared app.classroomscreen.com. Links to everything. Let me just say this now. Links to everything we talk about are going to be out in the show notes at chrisnessy.com/170. And also in that, as we get into this, Derek Larson. Yes, that's right. The Derek Larson, who is sort of sitting next to me right now. Derek has assembled, and he did this a couple of years ago. There's a spreadsheet I will link to in the show notes where Derek has pulled together all of the recommendations that have ever been given on the House of EdTech app Smackdown. And if you're new, this is the 7th annual Smackdown that you are in the midst of right now, because we launched this bad boy in 2014. And again, this is my favorite. Well, it's one of my favorites. They're all my favorites. It's like children. But this is a favorite episode that I do at the end of each and every calendar year. So if you're listening to this in the future and it's not December 2021, God bless you. You made it past 2020. And just know that this is an episode I create. It's the last one of the calendar year. And to get back to Emma, make sure you follow Emma on Twitter. She is at Crofts_Emma. Next, we have our first Tech from TikTok, and this is Tech from TikTok number 1. This comes from TikTok user Amanda Dungan. She is at A Dungan on TikTok, and the website in a particular video of hers was for a website called thejigsawpuzzles.com. And what thejigsawpuzzles.com allows you to do is upload any image, and you can then create digital jigsaw pieces that you could then bring into, say, Google Jamboard or Google Slides. And you can now create digital manipulatives that are basically puzzle pieces. And I learned that in 60 seconds on TikTok. So check out thejigsawpuzzles.com.
Those are awesome so far. I do want to point out, though, yes, that spreadsheet there are 195 apps shared to date, not counting today's stuff. So
yeah, baby.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there. So honestly, folks, if you've never seen that or heard of that, go check it out. I will warn you, a couple of them that I shared, they've gone under. I don't know what happened, but the links don't work, and so I've taken the link out and I put it next to it. But 195, so 193 are active. There's some good stuff in there. And it's all linked out to the episode number as well. So if you wanted to hear exactly what was shared, you can click right on it, go over. It's not linked out according to like the bookmarked. I didn't go that heavy, but it's just all there, easy to find. Follow the person who shared it, make some new connections, all the good stuff. So my first one I want to share is called World Clock Mobile Pro. This is a world clock map for your iOS device, and they've even got a version for Mac. What it'll let you do is it will let you mark on, like put in favorites, edit in favorites of different time zones, and it sets it on a circular clock, right? So you've got half its lights, because that's where it's day currently, half's dark, that's where it's dark, and then below it also has the world map, and it plots all the points on there. So you can literally look at it and say, okay, your time, I can see my time right now, and I can say, okay, if I go back a couple of hours, I can see what time it is right now in Sydney, Australia. So, Ms. Crofts, I can find exactly what time it is out where you are right this moment. I can see what time it is where Chris is on the East Coast. Makes it really, really nice to know what's happening. Makes it very easy. If you are a fan of the new widgets features on iOS, it's got some awesome widgets as well. But this is a great tool. Like I said, it's for iOS and Mac only. So sorry, Android, Windows, Linux world folk. On iOS, it's $2.99, and on Mac, it is free with the subscriptions basically. So it's 99 cents a month or $8.99 a year. So really not super pricey, but you can kind of get in there and check it out and see if it's something worthwhile. This is probably my favorite world clock. I've downloaded a couple trying to find one I like, and this one's just great. It looks awesome and it works really easy. So there's my first one.
Next up, we have Tech from TikTok number 2, and this comes from TikTok user Andrew Stella. Andrew is a 3rd grade teacher in Western New York. He is at Mr. Stellar Teaching on TikTok, and this is an awesome recommendation. The website is called Brightful Meeting Games, and the URL is brightful.me/play, and these are games and activities that you can give links to people in your Skype group call, your Zoom meeting, your Google Meet with your class, and now you have digital games that you can play with people in your virtual space. And I used this very recently when I first saw this. And with high school students, we basically played a game of Pictionary one day where it was holiday themed, and my students were on the website and they got to pick from 3 things and choose what they want to draw, either using their mouse or the touchscreen on their Chromebooks at home. And we played Pictionary. It gives you points. At the end, I was able to download a PNG image of all the kids' drawings, upload that to Google Classroom, shout out the kids who came in like first, second, third, and it was a lot of fun. And the tip there is you got to have fun in these virtual and hybrid settings. It's okay to play. You don't need my permission. You don't need your supervisor's permission to just be social and have some human being time with your students. Brightful Meetings is free. So all the games are free. You can create a free account, or you can just use the games without logging in, and it'll give you a link and you can kind of use it. but there are some great games. You can do charades, you can do Pictionary, and there are some other games as well. And it seems like they're adding new games every so often. They'll come up with a new game that works in this format. And what was really nice, it got more of my students to unmute their microphones and engage. And I don't care that it wasn't related to my class topic of history. It got them to speak, which, at least in my situation, I think a lot of the kids go all day without interacting, either with their teacher or the people in their class. And this got more kids talking. You know, we're recording this in December, and I heard kids' voices for the first time. Now, you might be thinking, wow, Chris, you're a horrible teacher if you got to December, even virtually, and hadn't heard some of your kids' voices. But I'm not pressuring my kids to engage in that way. A lot of them, they type in the chat, they do their assignments. I know they got stuff going on. So I've never put that pressure on them to unmute their mics or their cameras. And we know how I feel about that from Podcast PD and other things I've spoken on. But go check out Brightful Meeting Games and, you know, add some fun. Spice up your virtual or even your hybrid settings.
You know, that's a really important thing too, Chris, really. Not just for elementary, which Andrew is a third grade teacher. I get that. But I think it's really important. I mean, I'm in a middle school these days, and these kids need more than just the academic. And if we're not connecting with them on any level, forget about it. It doesn't matter how great of a teacher we are. If we can't connect with our kids and make those connections, it's not going to matter. We're not going to get through to them. They're not going to care. Kids do better work for people who they know care about them. And if we can show that, hey, we're going to play a game for a minute. Forget that for a second. What about lesson plan? Forget the lesson plan. I've got to know my kids. I got to talk to my kids. They've got to know what's going on. And then the next time they may be more willing to jump in and say, okay, let's talk a little bit. Let me go ahead and share. Nessie wasn't so bad. We can talk to the teacher. You know, he's good. He's cool. We played those dumb games before. That's a great tip, honestly. So up next, we have Eric Guys, who is an educator out of Pennsylvania. Eric dropped in some audio. So here, let's check out what Eric's recommendation is.
Hello, Chris, Nessie, and the House of EdTech listeners. This is Guys from Got Tech, the podcast. My EdTech tool for the 2020 EdTech Smackdown is Sodaphonic.com. Sodaphonic is an audio recorder that happens directly within your web browser. There are no plugins, expensive equipment, or complicated setup, and I thought you would like this. They use the tagline, just hit record. Students can import an audio file, or they can record their own audio file, edit that file, and download the audio as an MP3 or WAV file. I use Sodaphonic to have my students record podcasts for class. The best things about Sodaphonic: 1, anyone can become a content creator. 2, there's no recording time limits. 3, there's no account needed. 4, it's free. 5, it works with Chromebooks. Sodaphonic has also released a Chrome extension which can be found in the Chrome store. Chris, I wish you a happy holiday and a healthy new year, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of the 2020 EdTech Smackdown.
Thank you so much, Eric. That's a fantastic recommendation. Honestly, what a great way to get your kids creating, and I love that it will work right in the browser. So that will allow Chromebooks, which sometimes are a little bit trickier to record audio on. It'll allow the audio to play. So Eric, you can follow Eric Guys at GuysGotTechEd on Twitter, and again, links will be in the show notes. But one thing before we move on, Chris, I absolutely love when you go to sodaphonic.com, there's a little image, a little graphic of an old school taped of audio recorder going, and it's just is so dang cool. It's just kind of cute. Kind of love it. I love the design of the site. Very simple, but it has that throwback to the older, kind of an older style. And I love things that look nice too. If you're going to use something and you're going to look at it, why not make it look nice? I get, as long as it works, that's great. But adding that extra touch on there, that's a cool looking site. I will definitely go give that a try later.
It is a cool site, and thank you, Eric, for contributing. And also, when you follow him, also go check out his podcast as well. Next up, we got Tech from TikTok, number 3. And this comes from TikTok user Aldi Lopez. He's an elementary band director in Arizona, and his TikTok username is Legit Mr. Lopez. And his recommendation that I'm going to include is remove.bg, which I've talked about before, but here's a cool thing. Now, first, remove.bg, if you're not familiar, is a website where you can go and upload pretty much any image. It's great for pictures of people, pictures of really anything, and remove.bg will remove the background through artificial intelligence and basically crop out the background. I've used it for some headshots and photography, and you can do some cool stuff by making, PNG and transparent images, and you can use those images it produces. But here's a cool tip that he shows in his TikTok, and that is you find a great piece of clip art on Google or another website, and it's not transparent, and you want to bring it into, say, a Google slideshow, okay? And it's got its white background. What do you do if you can't find a PNG, but you found the perfect graphic? What can you do? Right-click and copy the image wherever it is in your browser. Okay, so let's say it's a Google image search. Right-click on the image, and then go over to remove.bg and do Control-V to paste it. Remove.bg will do its thing and will show you the image with the background removed. You don't even have to download it from remove.bg. You can right-click on that image right there on the remove.bg website and now go back to, say, Google Slides and paste it in, and boom, you've got your transparent PNG image, clip art, whatever, and now it's in your Google slideshow or wherever maybe you wanted to paste it, maybe a Jamboard or another program, maybe a Google Doc. So there you go, a nice shortcut where you don't have to download the image, upload the image, download the image, upload the image. Just use some good old-fashioned copy-paste, and you can remove those backgrounds.
Well, and that also makes it really great for Chromebooks as well, because when you're downloading Chromebooks, a lot of times Chromebooks don't have a very large hard drive. So just hitting all that, you're not even downloading, you're just moving it over. That's an incredible tip. Yeah, you've talked about Remove BG before, but that's a great tip. Thanks so much, Aldi. That's awesome. So the next recommendation is one that I'm sharing, and this is one that I literally use 20, 30, 40 times a day. I'm on this app all the time. Right now, I'm in person, in a school in person, so I'm wearing a mask. I'm the kind of person that I carry around a 32-ounce water bottle with me everywhere I go. It's bright green. It's ugly. It's terrible, but I know I'm not going to lose it. I've put some stickers to try to lessen the bright green, but I still don't want to forget it. I love it. I typically try to drink anywhere from 150 to 200 ounces of water a day. I'm a big water guy. But with my mask on, I'm not drinking nearly enough water because it's just so obnoxious to get the mask on. So this is an app. It's called Waterminder. You can go to waterminder.com. That's their main website. But what it does is it will let you set up reminders to drink water. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. But what it is you tell it, you put your information in, your specifics, how tall you all are, how much you weigh, what kind of a goal you want to set. And what it will do is it will literally shoot you reminders to your device to say, hey, don't forget some water. Hey, why don't you log some water? And then what's nice is you can actually add in specific sizes of water. So like this water bottle, I have a 32 ounce. So I've just put a 32 ounce as a shortcut link. I just hit that and there it is right there. I've also put on a half liter. So like for those small water bottles you get, if you're going to go some of those kind of disposable ones, a couple of different sizes. But the coolest thing about this whole entire app is it's everywhere. So if you're an iOS person, you've got it. If you're an Android person, it's on the Google Play Store. It's on the Mac App Store even. But my favorite is the Apple Watch app because it will buzz my wrist roughly once an hour between whatever hours you set as your wake time to remind you to drink. And so every hour my wrist is getting a buzz. How about some water? And it just reminds me to get the water, keep yourself hydrated. It is one of the simplest things you can do to help your body. And especially right now, make sure you're hydrated. And I will warn, the more you drink, folks, the more you're going to have to use the bathroom. But a lot of us are not really tight at this point. Some of you are away. And it might be easier to step away and use the bathroom if you need to. But even still, it will just help you to get enough liquid. Because I know that when I don't drink enough water, I get headaches. And I'm cranky and I'm nasty and I'm mean. Get the liquids back in my system, and I'm good to go. So honestly, Waterminder is a great app. It's amazing. Okay, next up we have a recommendation from a good friend of mine, Heidi Carr, who is an educator out of Las Vegas, Nevada. So, Heidi, let's take it away.
My number one app this year has been Flipgrid because it has allowed my parents to have a sneak peek into my classroom. So I started doing what's called a weekly recap, and I share with them what we're doing. I give them questions that they can ask their child, so it's increased family engagement and learning even at home, so they are understanding the standards that I'm currently teaching. And then the parents are actually asking the kids the questions that I've given them, because sometimes I'll follow up and discuss with them, as well as I could translate the captions into English and Spanish. So my parents are able to at least read if they don't speak English. So that has been awesome. And one of my parents sent me a note that this is actually, something along the lines was, this has actually inspired her to and motivate her to assist her son more during this time. So it's been a nice way to build relationship, increase family engagement, and to bond or increase that connection between homeschool, so that team building aspect. Hope all is well.
Heidi, that is a fantastic recommendation. I mean, I think a lot of us are very familiar with Flipgrid, but what a great way to use it to get the parents involved and get them kind of going. And I love that feature, though, where it will automatically translate your captions. So if you do have some language stuff going on, that's a great way to help your parents that don't speak English. Maybe that can be a good way to help them kind of get it going. And what a great little kudos from that parent saying, it makes me want to help my child more. I mean, that's the whole point, right? We want them to make sure that they're helping their kids. So follow Heidi. She is online at car_8.
Derek, we just have to break in right here because that's our mention of Flipgrid, which was certainly instrumental here in 2020. But Flipgrid, just days before we're recording this, added a new feature. And that is the ability for participants on Flipgrid to do audio-only posts, which is, I don't know if it's a game changer, because let's be honest, a lot of kids were doing audio-only because they put their thumb in front of their camera or they slid the camera over. But now it's a more formal way to only use the microphone on your laptop, or, you know, with a setup like you or me, to use our microphones only to make posts, which could make it even easier for kids to use Flipgrid to create, you know, podcast type content, audio content. So there you go. Audio only on the Flipgrid.
See, and I see that as being a major win for teachers, because what I've seen is kids really haven't really cared so much. Yeah, they might put their finger over the camera, but for the most part, they're pretty good to go. My biggest holdup has been teachers seeing themselves on screen. Oh, my hair's not done, and I'm done. Forget about it. No, your kids don't care. You don't need to care. I mean, hearing their voice, all that kind of stuff has always been a problem, but the visual. So now they can say, yeah, it's just audio only. I think it's going to help a lot of teachers who have struggled with that video portion. So it may be a game changer, but for the adults involved.
All right. Tech from TikTok, number 4, as we move on through the 2020 Smackdown. This comes to us from Fletcher Nelson. Fletcher is a 3rd grade teacher in Minnesota, and he is at _3rd grade swag on TikTok. And this is a really cool tip that we're about to share that is YouTube related. So you ever want to get rid of the just annoying parts of YouTube, like ads, suggested videos, and wouldn't it be cool to just share the video right in full screen? Well, here are 2 ways that you can do that. So what you can do is you can simply add _ pop-up after the word watch in the URL of a YouTube video. And then you can copy and paste that wherever you want to put that YouTube link. So Google Classroom, your school website, social media. Take the URL of the YouTube video, add _ pop-up after the word watch in the YouTube URL, and then share that link. And the link will open basically full screen in the browser, and you'll have none of the YouTube interface. That is way one. You can also, and I got this from a different video and I forgot where I got it from, but along the same lines, you can also go into the URL and simply add a hyphen in the word YouTube between the T and the U. So you'd have YOUT hyphen UBE. And if you make that tweak to the URL, you'll get the same result. So near full screen in the browser, no ads, no suggested videos, no comments, none of the YouTube interface, just the video.
That is incredible. I love both of those. I'm going to warn you listeners, if you are listening like a year, 2, 3 down the road, and that does not work, it does not mean that it did not work at time of publishing, because I've seen little tricks like that throughout the years, and it always happens to me as I'm talking about it at a conference, presenting, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that was working literally yesterday, and now YouTube has killed it. So just remember, if it's not working down the road, a year or two, whatever down the road, it doesn't mean that it wasn't working now. There's probably another workaround. Search for it. But Chris, I love both of those for the here and the now.
Next up, we've got friend of the podcast. You may see him on Twitter. He is always walking and talking, literally, and he does it at 5 a.m. So let's send it over to my friend north of the border, Brian Carpenter. Take it away, Brian.
Hey, House of EdTech. This is Brian Carpenter coming to you from British Columbia, Canada, just east of Vancouver in a small town called Abbotsford, BC. Twitter handle is @Bryan, BRYONCAR. My EdTech Smackdown tool for 2020, again, is Adobe Spark. Last year I may have talked about it, but this year I'm super excited about Adobe Spark Post, which is one of the 3 tools that is used by Adobe Spark. So Post is a graphics editor that is similar to Canva, but it is free, and most of the things that you can do for free in Adobe Spark Post are simply amazing. I've got my students creating graphics, doing remove background, which is one of their new features. There's curved text now within the iOS as well as the web app. To get to Adobe Spark, you go to spark.adobe.com. I've almost got that tattooed on my body. It's so good. All right, so check out Adobe Spark Post and all the things that you can do with it. There are templates, fonts, and lots of creative uses for it. Anywhere you need a graphic, you can use Adobe Spark Post to create such a graphic. Love it so much. Pages are there, which is their web page tool, which is nicely integrated into the web version, as well as Adobe Spark Video. Big fan of Adobe Spark Video. It's a very simple video editor, and I use it for simple, quick video edits. Wevideo is fantastic. I'm not talking about that here, but Spark Video does a great job. Spark Video is where it all began. Thanks, Chris, for the EdTech Smackdown for 2020, and thanks all for your contributions. Okay, bye-bye, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too, Brian. And I did remember, one, you have to make sure you're following Brian on Twitter because he does what he calls #FreshAir@5, which, Brian, I want to talk to you for just 1 second. Turn it into a podcast. Did you hear me, Brian? Turn it into a podcast. It will win on so many levels. Let's have that conversation, my friend. And thank you, Brian.
Don't worry, Brian. He is known as the master pusher of all things. But I agree with him. Honestly, I love what you share, Brian. And I've got to just say a big thank you to Brian, because in the time that I spent as a substitute host, Brian was always sharing tips and things and commenting on the episodes and sharing feedback. I didn't always share it, but honestly, guys, there was so much good stuff there. If you're not following Brian, you need to get on there and do it. I mean, honestly, there's no other way to put it. The guy's incredible. You're going to learn a ton. And he's got a wicked awesome beard, Chris. I mean, the beard is a beast. And so give Brian some beard love as well.
There you go. All right. Next up, we got tech from TikTok, number 5. And maybe you're starting to think, maybe I could learn something from TikTok. Well, here we go. This one is going to blow your mind. Derek do you like fonts?
Yes, I'm a font nerd.
Okay. What's your favorite font?
I do love me some Roboto, and I'm a Helvetica nerd. I love me the simplicity of my Helvetica, but a Roboto is a good one. But I also even like just the standard Arial, just for its simplicity and how nice it is.
I'm sorry, Derek, but your answers were
wrong, sir. Wrong.
Because your favorite font is a font that doesn't exist yet. Because this next recommendation allows you to, get ready for it, folks, create your own font. That's right. We're going to shut the font door. This one comes to us from TikTok. The account is Doodles from My Brain. Guy's not a teacher, not an educator, just through the magic of TikTok. The username is @Doodles from My Brain. And he's also on Twitter @DoodlesFMB. And here's how you can make your own font. Go to the website calligrapher.com, and there is no E in calligrapher because it's after the year 2000 and vowels and URLs is just no good. But go to calligrapher.com, no E, and you can either digitally on an iPad or you can print it out. You can create your own fonts with your own handwriting. For free, you can create a font that has not all of the characters associated with a given font, but for free, you can create pretty much all that you need, like lowercase letters, capital letters, numbers, and some basic punctuation. If you wanted to pay, you could create more custom characters that you could then upload and use in Google Docs, in Word. Wherever you use fonts, you could create your own custom font.
Okay, my brain is blown. I mean, we've talked about this before, Chris. One of my favorite podcasts of all time, outside of the House of EdTech, of course, is called The Pen Addict. And that is my podcast because I love me a good pen, some nice paper. I am an analog nerd. That's why Stacy and I get along so well. Like, straight up.
You and Stacy. Yeah, you and Stacy.
I'm a big dork.
Yeah. It's okay. I love that dork. She's amazing. Don't even go there. She's one of the best. But yes, my handwriting is atrocious, but I have some friends who have gorgeous handwriting that I legit might have to convince them to do this because that sounds amazing. Even if you just paid for short term, get them all in there and then be done. Wow. Get mind blown. Seriously, you win.
All right. Next up, we have a submission from Laurie Simpson. And Laurie is awesome because, well, I'll be honest, she's one of the awesome supporters of this podcast. So, Laurie, what do you got for us?
Hi, Chris. This is Laurie Simpson from North Hunterdon High School in Annandale, New Jersey. Been a big fan for a long time. And the tech app I want to share this year is Eduflow. I don't know if I'm the first one to mention it. It is PureGrade.io 2.0. PureGrade went a paid version, too expensive, and then they directed me to Eduflow, and it's been amazing, even more robust. I've used it for really great peer review. I've used it for giving kids feedback on their writing. I can create rubrics for the kids or for myself, and I've used it for discussion threads, but it's really been a super fantastic tool. They've been so open to feedback and have made improvements even since the school year started. So Eduflow is my favorite tool of 2020. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that, Laurie, and thank you for being awesome. Just want to reiterate that links to everything we have shared and everything that we will share will be linked out in the show notes at chrisnessy.com/170. And next up, we got Tech from TikTok number 6. And this comes from another friend of the podcast, because I know that Kristen listens. She is Kristen Thompson. She is at Thompson Classroom on TikTok, but I met her first on Twitter, where she is at Miss MISSLWBT. And this is a great simple tip for those of us teaching remotely, hybrid. If you got kids in a meet and you share your screen, your mouse is too tiny. Your cursor is too small. You could fix that. In a TikTok, she demonstrated in Windows how you can go into the window settings and make your cursor larger. And you can choose a larger arrow, and everything that the mouse turns into on your screen will be larger. which can be very helpful inside of a Google Meet or a Zoom call where you might be sharing your screen and kids have to maybe follow the mouse while you're doing stuff. And I know from teaching high school kids, you can change the size of the mouse on a Chromebook. And Derek, you can do that on Mac, right?
Yes, you can do that on Mac. That's just fine. But this is an awesome tip. I'm a Mac person personally, but when I'm at school, we're a Windows and Chromebook district, and so this is a tip I'm going to definitely play with because I think it'll help greatly. Nice. Now, speaking of you going to school and delivering great tips like that, what's your next recommendation? Oh, look at that. Look at that. So, folks, we are in the middle of a pandemic, in case you didn't realize, or if you're in the future. I know. What can I say? I hate to break to you the news, Chris, but a lot of people are not going shopping to stores. Some of us have hated shopping in stores for years. But the pandemic has really kind of caused other people to also dislike being in stores in public. And so I've always been a big fan of online ordering, but I don't always like their delivery tracking. Part of that is that most delivery tracking things are ugly and they're not good. You have to literally go into individual ones. So my next app recommendation is called Deliveries App. This is a phenomenal tool that is available on iOS and watchOS, macOS, and a browser extension that you put your delivery tracking number in, and it will list it all out on a single screen, and you can see where it is. It's got a great little interface where it also shows a map. It's fabulous, and you can see exactly what's going on, see where it's at, and from a single tap, you can then get back to the actual screen where you want to go and still see it all. So if you need that, Deliveries App is awesome. It is one of my favorite apps. I've been using it, like I said, literally for years, and a lot of people who are now not doing so much with going into stores, this could be a great tool for you as well. So it has a subscription service. It's through a company called June Cloud, and the subscription service is either 99 cents a month or $4.99 annually. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Just drop the $5. You're covered for a whole year. And even from school on my PC, I can jump up on the online portion, check it out, and then I can through that browser extension, I can see exactly where it's at, and I can add stuff away, even if I'm away from my beloved Apple devices. So it's a great tool. Absolutely love it. Okay, so our next recommendation, while that one was incredible, we have a great recommendation from another good friend of mine. Her name is Tara Lenny. Tara not only has one, but she has two recommendations here. So go ahead and play that audio.
Hi all, this is Tara Lenny. I am an EdTech consultant and the founder of TL Specialist, which is an organization that focuses on bringing equity and SEL approaches into learning about how to incorporate technology into instruction. Two of my absolute go-to app recommendations are Google Keep and Jamboard. I basically live my life on Google Keep, from being able to make checkboxes for different checklists, to colorizing the notes and pinning the ones that are the most important, to being able to share those with other people. I love, love, love it. There's just so many different things that you can do with Google Keep, whether you're using it on your mobile device or whether you're using it in your browser. The other tool that I love is Jamboard. And Jamboard is great because when you're working with students, especially now in remote and hybrid learning environments, you're not going to go to the printer and make a whole bunch of copies of something. And especially if it's like a math assignment, right? What's really nice about Jamboard is that you basically have this blank canvas that now you can have a background on, and you can insert different photos and different Post-its and different text and pretty much anything that you want, you can insert on it. And it really allows you to empower the kids to show their learning in an interactive way. You can have collaborative Jamboards. You can have ones that you push out to Google Classroom and each student gets their own Jamboard. but I absolutely love the diversity that the tool offers for so many different subjects. Like, it's not just math. It can be anything, and it can be as closed down as you want or as collaborative as you want. For more information about any of these tools, and if you want to learn more about like what I'm doing and how I'm using these different tools in education, you can follow me on Twitter at Tara Linney. You can also check out my website, which is tlspecialists with an S at the end, .com. And we have a YouTube channel as well. And we have a Facebook page and a LinkedIn page, either at TL Specialists with an S at the end or at Tara Linney.
Tara, thank you so much. Those are some great recommendations. You know, Chris, it was interesting as we were listening to that. I kind of had to wonder, have we ever officially had Jamboard on the list? And so I went back to that handy spreadsheet. Jamboard's never been mentioned. Now, I know that's still fairly new. But we've had Google Keep show up twice, but I want to say every time they're mentioning different aspects or different pieces of it, which I absolutely love that about the Smackdown. That you have said you always like to have stuff that's not been mentioned before, but also they can be the same tool, but people can use it so differently and have it in there. And just, I think part of what's powerful for me is hearing the workflows of how people are describing what they do with it. So I love both those tools. I do a lot of Google Keep for my work life. Personal life I use Todoist, but for work life, it's almost all in Google Keep. How about you?
I use still a combination of Evernote for some things. I use Google Keep on my phone, so that's my mobile note-taking catch-all. So I'll save news articles to there, for some different things that I try to keep track of. So for me, it's Keep mobily. Evernote, I do a lot of things locally, but then the nice thing, because Keep is, browser based, obviously, I can pull those things in when I'm here in the House of EdTech on the computer. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a great tool. And if you haven't used Google Keep before, I would recommend that as well. It's a great one. So next up, we have another awesome recommendation from the one and only Nate Nagle, and he's been in almost every year dropping recommendations. Chris, I don't know if you're aware of that. I think you might be, but let's hear what Nate's got for us this time around.
Hey, House of EdTech listeners, this is Nate Nagle. I'm a middle school technology education teacher, and you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Nagle. That's Nagle. The app or website that's really helped me so far this year, being all digital, is squoosh.app. That's SQUOOSH.app. Basically, what this does, it allows you to upload a image file. And once you upload that image file, it will kind of do some magic and make it smaller file size. I found this incredibly useful because I can put really big images on my LMS and it doesn't take long for it to load on the student end. I found that students have shockingly slow internet speeds for lots of things, and anything I can do on my end to compress files to make them just a little bit smaller so it's more accessible on more devices more quickly is a lot better of an option for everybody. So all you do is you go on the website, you drag an image onto the little hand that's holding a picture, and it will resize it for you, or it will slim down the file size for you. You can choose the quality, the file type, and also if you want to resize the image, you can do it all there. It's a really great all-in-one tool that I've had a lot of success with this year.
Okay, Nate, where have you been with this recommendation? I could have used this recommendation, I kid you not, like 4 times this last week alone. Like, as of recording, I could have used that 4 different times. I am so excited for Squoosh. Again, it sounds amazing, but guys, just even if you're not going to use it, go look at the website. It is just incredible. The icon is like somebody like
it's
squishing.
A good site. It's a good site.
It is so beautiful, and it's silly and it's funny, and it works. And my gosh, go and look at it, and then you're going to go, let's just drop something or paste something. There's that pasting again. I bet this would be fantastic for the Chromebooks. I'm so excited to try this. And if Nate mentioned Chromebook specifically, I lost the ability to focus because I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. So Nate, you have done well once again, sir. Mr. Nagle, you killed it. Good job.
Nice. Thank you, Nate, for being a loyal listener and a loyal contributor to the Smackdown. I appreciate it. Now, before I get to Tech from TikTok number 7, I do want to say that in the time that I've been away, I've done some planning and I've been working behind the scenes to make some improvements, in my mind, to the podcast. And one of the ways that I'm doing that is by creating a community in a new place. Now, for a couple of years now, I've been promoting chrisnessy.com/Facebook, and we had a Facebook group and a really great community, almost 500 educators in the Facebook group, talking EdTech, talking about the podcast, and it's been great. But Facebook being Facebook, I'm going to be honest, they pissed me off. So I am taking my community ball and I am going to another playground. And I have shut down the House of EdTech Facebook group. But fear not. In its place, I have started a House of EdTech Discord community. Now, if you're not familiar with Discord, I'll put a link in the show notes where you can learn about Discord, but it allows me and you to connect, to talk, to have conversations, and it's primarily used, if you've got kids who play games, they'll be able to tell you about Discord. Ask your students, ask your own children. But I can use it here professionally and be building community and having conversations. So if you go to chrisnessy.com/Facebook, it's going to take you where I want you to go. But if you want to do it the easy way, go to chrisnessy.com/Discord, DISCORD. And what I didn't tell Derek is most of the time we've been recording this episode, I've been live streaming this audio into the Discord server, so anybody could have been listening in behind the scenes. And that's also part of what I want to be doing in 2021. Live streaming audio into the Discord server. When I record episodes, I want to do more live streaming through StreamYard, which you've heard me talk about a lot earlier this year with the remote learning. So what can you expect in 2021? More me by seeing me. And I want to do some live streaming and do more. If you missed it, all during ISTE 2020, I was live every night of ISTE, 10 p.m. Eastern. So if you go to chrisnessy.com/YouTube, you can see the playlist of these hour-long live streams that I did recapping each night of ISTE. So I want to build up that YouTube presence. Yes, I still have a face for radio, but it's a lot of fun to live stream. And if you've been listening to Podcast PD for any amount of time, that's something we also live stream every other Sunday when we do that. So would love to have you come out and check out Podcast PD when we do it live, become part of the Discord community, and, just have a good time. I want to build community. It's not just me. I make this podcast first for me, and I make it second for you. So come join the party. Let's Discord our faces off.
And folks, if you're worried about a new platform that's confusing, Discord is super simple. I mean, honestly, as Chris was literally just talking, the account was set up. Don't just go to discord.com. Go to chrisnessy.com/Discord, because you have to know it's an invite only for certain Discord. So you can't just get into it. You've got to go to his link, and then you can either log in and jump in, or if you're not having an account yet, it's super simple. Literally, while he was talking, account created and basically done. So there you go. Jump in here. Come join the Discord fun.
Nice. And Derek, you legitimately made the account while I was talking about it?
Yeah, as you were talking, literally, because I knew you were switching, but again, there's so much else going on. I'm like, I got to do that. I got to do it. And it kept getting bumped lower and lower on further and further back on the task list. And so I get to check it off today, because I'm like, done. Here it is. All I have to do is finish putting in my password and I'm good to go. So
there you go. It's got a mobile friendly app. And again, we can screen share, I can share audio, I can share video. So I might do some live tutorials, different things like that. So if you're there, you'll know when I want to do these things, because I will post in advance, or I just might pop up and be live with audio and or video. So you never know. And you'll never see me promote this on social media. So you'll only hear me talk about this on the podcast. So chrisnessy.com/Discord. Let's do it. Speaking of doing it, let's go to Tech from TikTok, number 7. And this one comes from a teacher by the name of Miss Southard. She is at miss.southard on TikTok. And here's what she did. She told her students earlier this year that they would be taking a 40-question math test. And the students groaned, as many students would, about taking a 40-question math test. And she told her students, you know what, you're right. That's too many questions. Let's get rid of some of the questions on this 40-question test. So she let her students knock 12 questions off the test. Now, here's the inside baseball, folks. Her original test only had 28 questions on it. So she had no intention of giving her students a 40-question math test. But her kids felt so powerful to take 12 questions off the test. That's it. That's the story. That's the recommendation. Try that in your classroom. You know, overbook, give your kids, it's kind of like being a magician. Yeah, you might think you had free choice of that pick a card, any card, but the magician made you pick exactly what you picked. So maybe a little sleight of hand is necessary.
I love that recommendation, Chris. I absolutely love that. I have used similar things. In my district, a lot of the classrooms have like the little microphone system that you wear around your neck. And so there's a little sensor in the ceiling that communicates the infrared system. Every student that I've ever talked to, about 9, 10, all think that is a camera or a recording device so teachers can hear you. Every teacher in my district says, yes, sir, I can hear and see everything you're saying. And you better dang believe every kid believes it. So sometimes you got to have a little bit of that little extra. I love the 40-question test. Oh, no. Okay, fine. I'm going to knock 12. That is genius. I love it. I approve 1,000%.
I'm glad you approve, Derek. And you know what? I think that will work at middle school. I could do this at the high school level. And I will probably also try it with my college students. So we'll see what happens. Next up, we have all the way from Spain, Nicola. Now, let me just say, Nicola, when you hear this, I tried to find you on the internet, as I like to do. I try to find people, and I wasn't able to find you to help people connect with you. So, Nicola, if you are on Twitter, please let me know. Leave a comment on the show notes. Email me, feedback@chrisnessy.com, so I can add how people can connect with you, because you shared something cool, and I want people to be able to learn along with you. But enough out of me. Let's go to Spain.
Hi, Chris. This is Nicola, all the way from Spain. Firstly, thank you so much for your podcast. Secondly, I want to mention the Chrome extension MOTE. This little gem has saved my bacon a lot during lockdowns and virtual learning, as well as hybrid learning. Being able to give kids, especially the littles, oral feedback is amazing. And it's so easy that now my 4 or 5-year-old ESL kids answer with MOTE.
MOTE is an awesome tool, Derek. Have you used MOTE before or recommended it to teachers?
I don't know that I've ever even heard of MOTE, so what? I'm excited for this. Now, if it was shared somewhere, my brain was not fully processing, so I'm excited for this, Nicola. I'm going to agree with Chris. Give us how we can contact you, and silky smooth voice like that. Who wouldn't want feedback from that silky smooth voice? Well done.
Nice. But yeah, Derek, you got to check out MOTE. MOTE. Great for audio feedback in basically all of the Google tools, Docs, Sheets. Just add that extension, and now you can give audio feedback, and your kids can reply with audio feedback to your feedback. So it's a big old feedback loop. All right. Next up, we have tech from TikTok, number 8, the Big Ocho. And this comes from TikTok user Doing What Every Day. Derek, have you ever been unhappy with your profile picture on your social media profiles or some websites for your accounts? Not because of your face, because, you know, we are who we are. We can't help that. But have you ever wanted to put up a better looking profile picture?
You know, there's a reason I use my Simpsonified profile photo. That's straight up. So yes, Chris, when I do use, there's a few accounts where it has my actual mug. I'm sorry, folks. Sometimes I got to have the actual mug. So if this is going to help the mug look a little better, maybe a little less shine on top, I'm interested.
This is going to help your profile picture. So if you've got a great headshot, but you're not happy with the background, but you're like, this is a good picture of me, check out this website. It's called pfpmaker.com. pfpmaker.com. Okay, pfpmaker.com. Upload your picture, and then it works. It's magic. It'll remove the background, and then it will put your little headshot, your little face, on a variety of backgrounds, and it will give you the option to download either a square 1:1 ratio image or a circular image, because some platforms, you upload a circular picture, it will look better than if you upload a square profile picture. And it will even give you, also for free, that's right, the whole thing is for free, it'll give you matching header background. So if you want to use a matching header image on, say, your LinkedIn profile or your Facebook profile or your Twitter profile, you can get your profile picture looking good. You can pick some colors. It's got some funky backgrounds, and it's just really cool. So that's pfpmaker.com. If you go to my Twitter profile, you'll see the results, because my wife, thank you, Caitlin, recently took some new headshots of me, and I used pfpmaker.com to create my new Twitter profile image.
So that's what you did, because I noticed that you uploaded the new profile, which is fabulous. Yes, Caitlin, you killed it with the photo skills. It's a hard palette to work with. I get it, but she made you look great, sir. She made you look
Derek.
Great. Hey, what are friends for, right? You know,
I walked right into it. Walked right into it.
We give you the truth. What can we say? But that background, I'm like, what did he do? What did he use? So I'm liking the site. I mean, guys, go look at these websites that are linked, because there's like all these like little floating heads, and like there's even an Among Us like dude chilling. It just go and enjoy some good web design that looks awesome and has some fun to it, because we all need more fun in our lives, and I think this is great.
Now, Derek, I will say, for my school Gmail account, because I work in a Google district, I took my Bitmoji, one of the headshot-looking Bitmojis, and I used my Bitmoji on pfpmaker.com. So it's my Bitmoji head with my school mascot is zebra. So I found a zebra-looking background that's more stripy, and it's my Bitmoji. So in theory, someone like you could take your Simpsons avatar and maybe give it a facelift or jazz up the background.
I might be trying that, because actually my buddy cut it out, and so it acts kind of funky right now. Sometimes in some places it doesn't play right. So I might have to go check this out, and I will definitely take my background, my little Simpson dude. I don't know if it'll be ready by the time we launch, but I'm going to try for it. So check out my link to my account at Lars3B, and let's see if I have done that. And if I haven't, I'm going to ask the listeners to tweet at me, adjust your profile pic, hashtag House of EdTech, hashtag get on it. So I'm going to just leave that for y'all. If I haven't done it yet,
I'm tweeting it right now.
I haven't started yet, man. Come on now. We're recording. I'm not playing there yet. I've been doing all kinds of other stuff as we've been going, but I've not played there yet, but I will. So
there you go.
Excellent.
All right, Derek, who do we got next?
Okay, so coming up next, we have Paul Contos, and Paul has a recommendation that I don't know that I'm familiar with, so I'm excited to hear what Paul has for us. Go ahead and let's play some audio.
My name is Paul Contos. I'm in Monterey, California, and I'm a professional musician and music educator, teaching at a couple of different colleges, mostly at the University of California, Santa Cruz. I also direct jazz ensembles comprised of all-star students. I've been a national and international jazz educator in the U.S. for over 30 years, and in Japan, Brazil, Europe, and Canada for over 20. I currently teach at one of the largest jazz organizations in the U.S. called SF Jazz, located in San Francisco. I've been using the OkioCam S USB camera, in my case on Mac, for a while now, and especially in these times when education, and especially music instruction, is all online, I'm finding it to be an invaluable tool, an asset in my teaching, whether it be on Zoom, Google Meet, Skype, Facebook, etc. It expands the capabilities of what I can show, thus demonstrate to students in large groups online, and its built-in adaptability and design, I'm even finding stimulate new and creative and inventive ways for me in which I can bring students closer to all the dynamics and the modalities used in music notation, music symbols, graphics, chord symbols, and jazz improvisation. The OkioCam is just a beauty for me. Right out of the box, set up as a breeze, just plug and play. My online group meeting protocol du jour is usually Zoom, but other platforms are, just as easily used by the Okio Cam, and it's great in screen sharing. The Okio Cam also is equipped with apps that I've found exciting and, again, kind of inspirational to my teaching process, such as things like stop motion, time lapse, which is super cool, snapshot recorder, Google Docs, and slide add-ons, etc. The design of the Okio Cam is super ergonomic and quite hip, not taking hardly any space, and technologically it's eminently flexible. Winner of a device, I must say, and I love using the Okio Cam. And that's my comments about the Okio Cam USB camera. Again, my name is Paul Contos, Contos. Thanks very much. Thanks for a great show.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for sending that in. The Okio Cam, you can find it at okiolabs.com. And I'm pretty sure you can find Paul on Twitter at TheOnlyContos. CONTOS. Thank you for listening, Paul. Really appreciate you taking the time to send that in. Next up.
Hold on. Go back real quick. I was dumbstruck by that recommendation. I was not expecting what was shared. I went to the website because I have a little bit of I can't sit still. And I'm looking at this webcam. There's two different versions. This is an actual physical device. How much do you think these webcams are going to cost? Because they've got one that's the smaller and one that's the larger. What do you think price-wise for these webcams are, Chris? I'm just curious.
I'm going to actually give you something honest because I didn't look at the pricing prior to this conversation. So I'm going to say a smaller one. Let's go $75.
Okay, you're pretty close. The smaller one is $69. The larger one is only $89. These things are super cost effective. And frankly, I guarantee it's cheaper than any of your Elmo stuff or your other ones that your district is probably buying. And I bet if you were to go to your principal and say, hey, I really, really need this for these purposes while I'm at home or while I'm what's going on. These are so inexpensive. I think a lot of principals might even just say, yeah, let's go for it. Because in my district, we just went through budgeting and we set our budgets way ahead. And we basically had a whole bunch of money that was budgeted for this school year to send teachers to conferences and for conference being there and travel and everything. All of that money wasn't used for that purpose, obviously. So we had a bunch more money. The principal moved it into Chromebooks, but he also opened it up and he's had teachers come to him and say, oh my gosh, I really need this device to make something work. He's been so open to it because administrators know that we're doing the impossible as educators. And hopefully they're willing to work with you. This is definitely a thing. If you are a document camera person, I'm looking at you math teachers. I'm looking at you, music teachers as well. I love the example that he's a music teacher using it for notation. I actually took AP Music Theory. We did a lot of notating, a lot of musical stuff going on in there. This would be a game changer for a teacher trying to teach those subjects remotely. Elementary teachers that use your document cameras all the time. I used mine daily in my elementary classroom. This would be a life changer. Honestly, it would really make your life so much easier without having to play through the whole, let's prop up my phone and hope it doesn't fall and crack itself. This is awesome and really, really cost effective. So I might actually get my principal to buy one of these just to try it out and play with it and see how it works because it looks so good. Sorry, I had to hit that, Chris. I had to get into those pieces because it looks so amazing.
Absolutely. And you know what? At those two prices, we know that teachers sometimes spend out of their own pockets for their classrooms and for their students. This is something that for the teacher that maybe you can't go to your principal or you're always told that there's no money, this isn't going to break the bank for some teachers. They could just go out and buy it themselves, maybe more than one. And again, cost effective, okiolabs.com, okiolabs.com. And thank you, Paul, for submitting that. And thank you for listening to the House of Ed Tech. Next up, we have Tech from TikTok number 9. And this comes from Heidi Martin from Wisconsin. and she is at Learning with Heidi on TikTok. And a website that she recently shared on TikTok was toytheater.com. Toy Theater is a collection of interactive educational games for your elementary classroom. They are all free. That's right, our favorite four-letter F word. And they are designed to work on desktop computers, tablets, and mobile devices. You should, if you're an elementary school teacher, add toytheater.com to your toolbox. They've got games for math, reading, art, music. Okay, they got puzzles, they got games. They got games called, basketball. You've heard of basketball. Go play it on toytheater.com. They've got mazes, they've got classroom timers. So all these little interactive things that would be great in the classroom, in your virtual setting. They've got some virtual manipulatives. They've got thermometers, spinners, pie charts, calculators. So check it out, toytheater.com. And next up, we have old friend of the podcast. She's not old, but she's been a long-time listener. She's been a guest on the show. She is a podcaster herself. Stephanie Howell from Pennsylvania. Take it away, Stephanie.
Hey, Chris. Stephanie Howell here from Pickerington, Ohio. Love the podcast. My biggest tip for 2020, it's been a crazy, crazy year. But my EdTech tip is find your PLN. So my PLN this year has been Global GEG. I've connected with the different people in there. I've also connected with the podcast community. And so that is my biggest suggestion is you've got to find your people because this year has been crazy. I haven't been able to be an expert in everything just because of time and how quickly things have been having to roll out. So I'm able to call on these different people and just say, hey, I have this issue or this teacher has this concern or needs this type of program. And I explain what they're trying to do. And I've got maybe 10 different people that are able to respond to me with help or, hey, I made this presentation. You could use this. Or I know this app will help this with those type of students. Have you tried Immersive Reader? That kind of stuff. And it's been really helpful when I'm communicating with my teachers and I'm able to kind of steal those ideas and work with my community to work smarter and not harder.
I got to say, that is probably one of the most important tips we could have shared this entire episode because, folks, if you are listening to this podcast and you have not found your people online, what I would recommend you do right now is go to the spreadsheet or wait till the show's over. Go to the spreadsheet that's linked and click on every single person that's there on their name is linked to their Twitter account and go and follow them and do that because these are people that are sharing, are willing to share, and should be willing to help as well. If you do nothing else after listening to this episode, do that. Go and find some people to follow online. Follow that group and start don't just like be a taker though. Share what you're doing, even if it's just an idea, like here's a thought, I'm going to try this, and then come back and report. And if you fall on your face, tell people, wow, that did not go as I planned. I'm going to tweak it like this. And maybe they might say, oh, you know what? What about this? That is a game changer, not just for the crazy times we're in, all the time. Getting online and finding a community changed me as an educator and has literally changed my life because I found people who I can connect with and learn from and with.
Absolutely, Derek. I can't agree with you more. And all I can add is we are no longer teaching in a time where you are teaching alone on an island by yourself with zero support. We no longer only have to rely on the teacher next door to us or across the hall. You can reach out to educators all over the world. That's how I wound up sharing my podcast with a guy from Utah.
That is for sure. And the fact that we've eaten together there in Jersey, you came out to Utah and we caused some ruckus out here. Honestly, it's so amazing. And you mentioned that about teaching on an island. If you feel like you're teaching on an island, I'm going to put it back on you and say it's your own fault. Don't force yourself to do that. Get an account, Twitter, Instagram, somewhere. It doesn't matter what the service is. That's the red herring. Who cares what it is? Go somewhere that you feel comfortable and find people like you that you want to learn from. And you're going to do it. It doesn't matter what platform you're using.
And you know what? I'll even go so far as to say maybe social media isn't for everybody. It might not be your thing. Email me. You listen to this podcast, you can have a relationship with me. We can talk via email. I have gotten on countless Google Meets. People are so surprised when my first reaction is, oh, let's set up a time to get on a Google Meet. Let's talk. Connect with me. Connect with Derek. Email me. I will put you in touch with Derek if email is your preferred mode of transportation to connect with people.
And honestly, that new Discord area, it's not really social media. It's a closed platform. So if you're worried about that kind of stuff, jump on the Discord. Honestly, chrisnessy.com/Discord. Go there. I literally set it up as he was talking about it. It was so simple. I've not done all like the tweaking of my account stuff, but it's basically there. I can get in and I can start sharing and learning from people. It's a closed network. And I get it. Some people don't like social and online. Go there if you need that. Shoot the email out. Find somebody.
There you go. It's so simple that Derek could do it.
That says a lot, man. It's true. I'm not going to lie, especially right now. I'm exhausted.
There you go. All right. Now, Derek, I know that I have repeatedly blown your mind with my TikTok tech tips that I'm sharing that I've curated. Hopefully the next account you set up is TikTok, but I'll take it one step at a time.
I actually have a TikTok account, sir. I do actually have an account.
You do. You follow at House of EdTech on TikTok.
And I'll be honest, I have an account almost everywhere. I don't use everything, but I have it everywhere because I'm one of those crazies that wants my username everywhere. So I have it. I play with it occasionally, but it's like dip my toe because I don't know that I'm ready to full on jump. But I have learned a few things and had some fun. So this has been awesome so far this episode.
Nice. All right. So this is our final Tech from TikTok tip. This is number 10. This comes from B. Gonzalez, BEA, and she is Mrs. Talk Techie on TikTok and Twitter. Derek, you and I were teachers. We've made Google slideshows. We've asked kids. We've made a copy for every kid of Google Slides. And I'm sure at some point, I know I have, I've tried to create something that will be interactive where I want kids to put in responses on the Google Slides. And that's a pain in the tush to try and get them to type here, replace this text, and put your answer. Here's a super cool tech tip. Let's make it easy for students to fill in text on things like Google Slides. And instead of having to erase text like type answer here, here's what you do. You have your slideshow. You want to have them interact. So maybe you've uploaded a PDF and you want to have them put answers in a certain box that you put in. But don't put that box in. Here's what you do. Go to a new slide and copy and paste the default box that says click to add text. Now paste it onto another slide where you haven't edited the text yet and simply resize the box and format the text the way you want it to. Then your students, when you do make a copy for each kid, when they get their copy of it, they will be able to simply click and start typing. You don't have to worry about having them delete text, replace the text. Wherever you want them to put the text, that's what you do. So to recap that tip, create a new slide, copy and paste that default click to add text, paste that onto your other slide, resize it. You can paste some text formatting, so font, color, whatever, and then your students will be able to click and add text.
That is stupid simple. Like, that is so awesome. I absolutely love that. And if you all think that it's hard to get students to type where you want them, put it in there for your adult teaching, because adults suffer as much or more than students. Okay, so for my final tip, Chris, this is my library coming out. I did not bring paper pencil this time. I have a lot of those I can do, but I'll wait. I'm going to leave this one. This is actually, because as a librarian, one of my big things that I try to do with my students is get them to be reading for enjoyment, for pleasure, not just because the teacher said, you got to read this book, you got to. That's fine. I'll let the teachers fight that battle. My battle is I want kids to learn to love reading. Now, this app is not one that just anybody can just get in and do from the background, but I'm sure your library, either your school library or your public library, have it. It's the Overdrive app. Overdrive is great for audiobooks, for ebooks, and they even sometimes have like movies as well. Like it's awesome. But this is an all-in-one place for reading and for literature. Guys, they have the main app that I use as I kind of maintain my library space. But the ones I want to point out here are what you'd use for reading purposes. That's the Sora app. Sora is spelled S-O-R-A, Sora app. And that is the Overdrive library app specifically made for schools and for school libraries. It's a way simpler user interface to the original standard Overdrive app. If you're still using that one, just probably stop and use the Sora app instead if you use this for your school. If you're not using it for school, use the Libby app, L-I-B-B-Y. Libby app is the front-facing portion for public libraries. But here's where it's really cool. If your school is using Overdrive for audiobooks and for ebooks, you can also add in your public library access into the same Sora app, so you don't have to have both pieces going at once. It's incredibly simple, and it makes it so nice. I've had so many kids come in, and especially in these wild times, being like, hey, I need to get access to this. How do I do this? Thinking it's going to be so hard and so crazy. You can access either of these apps right from a computer, from your mobile device. iOS, Android, both have apps. You can run right literally in the browser. So it's great for Chromebooks. This is an awesome application, and application suite, I think that's what I'm going to call it. But Overdrive, and if you don't have it in your building, talk to your librarian and say, hey, is there any chance we could get Overdrive for audiobooks and for ebooks? Because it really is a game changer, and I think it's one of the best tools for getting kids to read. So again, it's the Sora app, S-O-R-A, for the school library portion, Libby, L-I-B-B-Y, for the public libraries. And you can add in your public library into your Sora app if you have it. So check those out and see if there's something that can work for you. I think it's seriously one of my favorite apps. I use it all the time as a librarian who's constantly reading and trying to keep up with what's going on. It has awesome playback features as well for your audio. I mainly use it for audiobooks, but just like you'd expect, you can adjust your speed, you can drop in bookmarks, you can drop in notes, and your notes will sync between devices as well because it's all tied to your account. So check it out. Hopefully you enjoy it, because even in these crazy times, sometimes you just need to sit down and read. Bibliotherapy, as we discussed in the last episode with Katie McNamara, is a real thing, folks. Find what's going to work for you to help to calm you, and if that's reading, but you're worried about having a physical dead tree book in your hand, look into Overdrive. And like I said, even if your school doesn't use it, I bet your county public library does. Go check it out.
Well done, Derek. Way to bring it.
Hey, I'm going to be passionate about some things. And some years it's socks. This year it's library books. All right.
All right. We've got two more. Derek, who's next?
Okay, up next we have a great one from JP Presevento, Mr. JP, who's always doing some good stuff. He's an awesome supporter of the podcast, has been in the past, and for a while he's a podcast host. All right, JP, what do you have for us? Let's hear some audio.
Hey, Chris Nessie and the House of EdTech podcast. This is JP Presevento from St. Louis, Missouri, checking in for the 2020 House of EdTech Smackdown. I am the Communication and Instructional Technology Coordinator for a school district in St. Louis. I work with teachers. I handle all the social media, public relations, and communication for my home school district. If you'd like to connect with me, you can follow me on Twitter at JPPrez. That's at JPPrezz. Today, I want to talk to you about bit.ly.com. Some of you may already be familiar with Bitly. It is a URL shortening service. So you can take your awfully long URL and shorten it. And then that short URL can go in an email, go on a social media post, and it's a little bit nicer to look at. But what I really want to talk about with Bitly is how you can take the Bitly Chrome extension, the little extension that lives to the right of your address bar in Chrome. And once you click that Bitly Chrome extension to shorten a link, maybe it's a link to an episode of the House of EdTech podcast. Maybe it's a link to a Google document, whatever the case may be. You click to shorten that link and you can do two really useful things. First, you can customize that short link. So when I customize the short link, it'll take everything bit.ly/ and let me pick what goes after that slash. So if I have something that I'm going to share with my students or teachers, I'll try to have a consistent naming convention. If this is something I'm going to share out on social media with my school community, maybe I'll have bit.ly/ the name of that social media campaign. Bitly allows you to customize those short URLs. Super helpful. The other great thing that Bitly can do, it tracks the number of times that your short links are clicked. For teachers, this is incredibly useful so we can see how many times our students are actually clicking on the links that we're sending them. From my lens as a school communicator, being able to track the link clicks is incredibly valuable in my social media posts and in any email that I send out. So if you haven't tried bitly.com yet, definitely check out this free service. If you have tried out bitly.com already, make sure you look into customizing your short URLs. Again, my name is JP Prezavento. You can connect with me on social media at JPPrez. That's at JPPREZZ. And Chris, thanks for another great year of the House of EdTech podcast.
Thank you, Mr. JP Prezavento, for sharing a great tool. I know Bitly's one I've used for a long, long time. It's one of those apps, though, that when you use it, sometimes it's kind of ugly looking, but it's so useful. You just do it anyways. And I loved everything he shared. Now, I'm going to add to his recommendation, though, Chris. This is not something that I think the average teacher would do, but you can actually go into Bitly, and if you wanted to pay, I'm not suggesting you do that necessarily, but you can actually get a custom domain. So where it says bit.ly, that can be customized. Now, it's going to cost you about $350 a year to do it, so I wouldn't recommend teachers going and doing that, but that could be something that a school district could get behind. By doing that, that'll let you have 1,500 branded links, which is incredible. There's also even more you can go from if you want to pay more than that, but that's another way to kind of go with it. So if you see like little shortened links that are more than just that, it could be something going on in there, or they're rolling their own version of it, but Bitly's an incredible tool. Honestly, I use it all the time. You can tie it into your Twitter account, so it'll automatically use your stuff. Then you can go back and track it after the fact. So great recommendation, JP. Appreciate you sharing that.
I know in a previous episode, probably this year or maybe in 2019, I know that some districts, they don't allow you to click on shortened URLs. And I know that a lot of districts block Bitly links. So you can't click on them because the tech directors will tell you, I don't know where those links are going. Well, okay. So yeah, that's possible. But something else you can do, and I know I recommended a specific resource in the past. I don't remember it off the top of my head as I'm just thinking of this now. But if you go to Google and you search URL unshortener, you can find some resources out there where you can put in a Bitly or another shortened URL, and it will expand it out for you. And then you might be able to then access that site or that resource using the actual link. Now, I know that doesn't help people if they're trying to track the usage of their short links, but you might find that you want to access something that you can't because it's using a shortened URL. So just want to also throw that tip in there too.
So I'm going to give Chris a couple of links to put in the show notes, folks, because again, Mr. ADD behind the keyboard, unshorten.it and unshorten.me. Now, I've not tried either of these necessarily, but these both come right up. And there's a bunch. I just searched, like I said, Google URL unshortener. It'll ask, did you mean shortener? No, I meant what I meant, Google. Let me just go with it. So I love how Google likes to be bossy. Seriously, it's so bossy. Did you mean? No, if I typed it right, let me just go with it. My fat fingers don't work on mobile sometimes, so I like it there. But if I'm on a computer, let my keyboard talk, man. Just quit trying to move me, Google. So we'll definitely put some links in there. Go check it out. That is a great point, Chris, honestly. And maybe that would be a time when maybe your district where they don't like that they might go with that, or maybe your principal might go with that and purchase that shortener for $350 for a year. So that way you could use that if that'll get around. Double check and see, because yes, bit.ly specifically is blocked regularly.
And Derek, this brings us to our last submission. And we're going to go to the doctor, Dr. Dan Kreiness. Friend of yours, friend of mine, friend of everybody's on the internet, because that's how Dan is. Dan, what do you got?
Hey, Chris and House of EdTech listeners, it's Dr. Dan Kreiness, host of the Leader of Learning podcast, which can be found on all podcast platforms and, of course, at leaderoflearning.com. And I wanted to contribute to the House of EdTech Smackdown. You know, obviously in 2020, EdTech tools that used to be just luxuries to have in the classroom and at a teacher's disposal have really become necessities this year. And so there are obviously a lot to choose from. But the one EdTech tool that has really gotten me going over these past few months, I've loved learning more about it. I've loved tinkering with it and using it. And of course, showing it to the teachers and the students is Wevideo. I have found that Wevideo is an amazing content creation tool. It allows for video recording and video editing. It's all cloud-based, so there are no downloads and everything gets stored in the cloud and therefore does not take up space on devices and hard drives. Plus, and you and I should love this quite a bit, it allows for podcasting and audio editing as well. So there you go. That's my nomination for the 2020 House of EdTech Smackdown. I know it's a tool that's been out there for a while, but I just really got turned on to it really within the last few months. And man, it's just such an awesome tool. Thanks for all you do. I'm really looking forward to hearing what everyone else contributes to the Smackdown. And happy holidays and happy New Year.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for your podcast. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for being a friend. I really appreciate it.
Wevideo is a great tool, Chris. Honestly, I haven't used it for a while, but it is a super simple tool. And Dr. Dan, I mean, we need a doctor. He's a doctor to go to, honestly. The guy is incredible. Like you said, he's a friend of all. And if you've got any kind of question, he's another great person to follow online. If you're not following him yet, I would literally, like I said, go through that spreadsheet and follow every person who shared at some point. All incredible educators. You have done an amazing job, Chris, of helping to create a great, very supportive and very giving community here with House of EdTech. So thank you for that. And thank you, Dan.
All I can say is you're welcome. That was kind of the goal when I started this 7 years ago, is to create community, put my voice out there. And, you know, here we are 7 years later. And again, you know, that being said, I mean, that's the Smackdown, folks. We got a couple of things, you know, before we head out the door to wrap up 2020. But I just want to say, we started by saying 26. There were more than 26 recommendations based on the great conversation that you and I had, Derek. So thank you for being a part of this conversation and sharing what you shared that were Smackdown entries, and also what you brought to the table in just the great conversation we had through the whole thing. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Honestly, a great opportunity, lots of fun. I always enjoy getting behind a mic and chatting, especially when I'm just playing guest role. So that's always fun too. So a little easier job, but super fun. So thank you so much for letting me come on.
Nice. And again, you've heard Derek talk about this spreadsheet and connecting with people. Again, Derek, a couple of years ago, started to create and edit a Google Sheet where he has listed everything that's ever been mentioned on any of the previous House of EdTech Smackdowns going back to 2014. So check out the show notes, chrisnessy.com/170. And we've got one last thing before we head out the door, and we need to talk about this episode's House of EdTech VIP. All right, it is the end of the year, last episode of the year. This episode's House of EdTech VIP is you. Allow Derek and I to thank you for listening to and supporting this podcast. Whether this is the first episode you've listened to, and you are listening to an episode that is probably the longest I've ever done at approaching 2 hours, you're welcome. I'm not apologizing. You're welcome, because this was a darn good episode with lots of great content. Or if you've listened to the previous 169 episodes. Thank you. I can't appreciate you enough for making my voice and the voice of all of the conversations I've had over the last 7 years a part of your, as I like to call it, your anytime, anywhere professional development, because you listen to an education podcast. This is not the only EdTech podcast out there. I'll even admit it's not even the best EdTech podcast out there. Time out. Who am I kidding? This is the best EdTech podcast out there that has Chris Nesi as the host.
I'm like, don't be feigning humility right there, bro. Like, honestly, you're like the godfather of like the EdTech podcasts. You may not have been the very first, but I'm sorry, you're 7 years in and you're still killing it. You may not say it's the best. I think a lot of people would disagree with you. I think if this is not the best, it is definitely one of the very best podcasts, general, but specifically for EdTech. So, yes.
Thank you, Derek. Your non-existent check is in the mail. All right. So thank you for listening. And because you listen, you are a VIP each and every week that the episodes come out. Thank you so much. And connect with yourself. And Derek, let's put a bow on this episode.
Awesome.
All right, folks, that is going to do it. We are done with 2020. Now, I can't promise that when the clock strikes midnight and we go to 2020 round 2 on December 32nd. No, I'm just kidding. It better not become December 32nd. I know the world isn't going to change back to what we want it to be right away on January 1st, but we're going to get through everything that's going on. You know, Derek helped me get through some stuff here in the fall. Thank you, Derek, for being a part of this podcast as a guest formerly and now being on the substitute host list.
Well, again, I'm going to tell you, this has been like an amazing opportunity. It has not been easy, but nothing that's worth it while in life is easy. And I really, really enjoyed it. But I'm going to say one other thing. I don't think we want life to go back to how it used to be, Chris. I think 2020, while it's been crazy and wild and like we want to throw it out the window, it's forced us to do a lot of things in education specifically that we previously were told, no, you can't do that. Well, guess what, teachers? We're doing it and we're killing it. We're getting great results. Not perfect, but nothing should be perfect. If it's perfect, obviously something's not real. So this is the real world. Let's hope that we are not what we used to be, but better than we used to be. That's what I hope for 2021.
And let's be honest, education wasn't perfect before. It's not going to be perfect because of this. It's education. It is what it is. We are resilient creatures. You know, I don't know if this is even appropriate, but I'm going to say teachers, we are kind of like the cockroaches of the professional world. We are going to be resilient. You can step on us. You can kick us. You can do all sorts of things to us, but you're not going to stop educators. You're not going to stop teachers from caring about their kids. You're not going to stop teachers like you, like me, from doing what we do, and that's doing the best we can at any given moment under any circumstance.
I agree. But I'm going to call myself a lobster, not a cockroach. I'm the underwater cockroach. I'm a lobster, man, because in the right situation, I'm freaking amazing. And I think a lot of educators are. As you said, I know that was not any kind of negative. I think I agree with you. If a nuclear war happens, who survives? The cockroaches. You just can't kill them. Like teachers are never going to stop, like you perfectly said. And then I had to go and mess it up with my lobster. But
that's okay.
It's tasty. Put some butter on there and it's got yummy. Yummy, yummy.
There you go. Speaking of yummy, the show notes for this episode. Go to chrisnesi.com/170. Thank you to everyone who contributed. I'm not going to name you. If you want to know their names, go back and listen to the episode again, or go to the show notes. You can connect with them on social media. Thank you to everybody who contributed. If you want to share feedback about this episode or any episode that I've ever done, go to chrisnesi.com/feedback. Send a voice message, send an email. Just get in touch with me. I am here for you. I am here to listen. Derek, how can people connect with you?
So if you want to find me, the best places on Twitter, it's at Lars 3EB, LARS 3, the number 3, letters E and B. Yes, that is a Third Eye Blind reference. Yes, they are one of the greatest bands ever. Yes, I'm a sucker. I still use that. I love it. Absolutely love it. So go there, and then from there you kind of get to wherever I'm at. I have a website that's kind of on life support. It's edtechbabble.net. I'm hoping to make some changes going on in 2021. Let's see if we can't revive that sucker. Kind of get the little paddles on it and kind of shock it back into existence. So, but yeah, twitter.com/Lars3EB.
Nice. And this podcast wouldn't be what it is without my awesome supporters. So thank you to the awesome supporters who have been here for so long through Substitute Derek and continue to support this podcast. Thank you to Dan Gallagher, Carlos Garza, Peggy George, Jeff Herb, Mike Messner, JP Presevento, Laurie Simpson, and Kyle Wilcox. Thank you so much. If you are getting value from this podcast and you want to become an awesome supporter, you can go to chrisnessy.com/awesome. The next episode of the House of EdTech is going to be episode 171, and that's going to come your way on January 10th, 2021. I'm going to be sharing ideas and strategies for getting the most out of your technology in the new year. And I may have a surprise or two as well, because I've had some time to work on some things. So get ready. 2021 is coming. Until next time, happy holidays, happy new year. Thank you, Derek, from the bottom of my heart for doing everything you've done.
My pleasure, sir. Absolutely my pleasure. And keep me on that list, because I'm happy to come back and sub anytime you need.
Awesome. Thanks for learning with me. Thank you for learning with Derek. And remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try.